Hi, good morning everyone. This is Kumar. Welcome to BBC channel. Today I'm going to explain about one of the important sorting technique, that is selection sort. Previously I'm explained insertion sort. At present I discuss about selection sort. First of all, what is the technique it follows, or what is the definition of the selection sort? The selection sort is an algorithm that selects the smallest element from a unsorted list. In each iteration, and place that element at the beginning of the unsorted list. How selection sort works? I choose array of elements, 6 elements. That is the 22, 13, 35, 16, 54, 3. In this array, set the first element as minimum. It means array of 0. In this array, the element is 22. Then compare the minimum of the second element. If the second element is smaller than the minimum, assign the second element as minimum. Okay. In this, so already the minimum element is 22. The next element, that is 13. So in this condition, the minimum is 13 because of compare the present element 22 and the second element is 13. So what is the minimum element? That is 13. So in this case, the second element is minimum. So choose the minimum value is 13. Okay. Next, compare minimum with the third element. Again, if the third element is smaller, then assign the minimum is third element. Otherwise, do nothing. Cannot change the minimum value. This process goes until the end of the array. Okay. Up to end of the array, it is a continuation process. Now, the same elements I am choosing 22, 13, 35, 16, 54 and 3. I am choosing 6 elements. It is the unsorted elements. The first iteration, the step 0. In this, as per algorithm, I choose first element minimum, that is 22. That is the first iteration. In this case, I equal to 0. So next iteration. So I1. In that time, the second element, that is 13. So compare with the present minimum and a of 1 value, that is 13. It is the smallest value, so minimum is assigned to 13. Next iteration, that is I is 2. In this case, I of 2, a of 2 value is 35. It compare with the 13 and 35. So it is the greatest value. So cannot change the minimum. In this case also 13 minimum. Next iteration, that is I of 3. In this case, A of 3 value 16. In this case also the minimum value is 13. Next iteration, I4. In this case also A of 4 54. This is also greatest value, so 13 is the minimum. Next iteration, that is A of 5. In this case, minimum value A of 5 value 3. So change the minimum value. So at present the minimum value is 3. Next iteration is the end of the element. So in this case, the first element is exchange or swap to the present minimum value. So 3 is swapped to the first element. So at present, the first step, the first value is a shortest value of the array. Next, choose step 1. In this case, array, the first element is 3. It is always sorted. The first element, it means the of 0th element, that is 3. In this case, the minimum is 13. Next iteration, that is A of 1. In this case, A of 1 represents the 35. Compare with the minimum, the previous 13 is the minimum, so cannot change. Next iteration, I is 2. In this case, A of 2 value is 16. So minimum value 13, so cannot change. Next iteration, of I3. A of 3 is representing 54. In this case also 13 is the minimum value. So next iteration, I of 4. A of 4 representing for the 22. In this case also 13 is the minimum. Next iteration, it's a condition fails. So swap the present minimum to the second element. It is same position. So next value, that is the second element, also store with the second position, that is 13. In this case, after the step 1 completed, already 2 elements are sorted. Now step 2. So already first 2 values are sorted. So I start with the third element, that is the 35. The I of I is representing for the 0, that is the 35 value. The first minimum value is 35. So next iteration, I equal to 1. In this case, A of 16 is A of 1 is representing for the 16. So the compare with the previous minimum value, it is the smallest. So choose the 16 is the minimum value. So next iteration, I equal to 2. So A of 2 is representing for the 54. So compare with the minimum value. So the previous value is the minimum. So 16 is the minimum. Next, I3. In this case, A of 3 is representing for the 22. So compare with the previous minimum. It is previous minimum is the smallest value. So next iteration, the condition is false. So swap the present minimum value to the third element. So the first 3 elements are sorted. Now step 3. In this iteration starts with the fourth element. I is 0, that is representing for the 35. It is the first minimum value. Next, I1. In this case, the A of 1 is representing for the 54. So compare with the previous minimum value, that is 35. So cannot change. Next, I equal to 2. So A of 2 is representing for the 22. The previous, compare with the previous minimum value. So present value is minimum value. So change the minimum value, that is 22. Next iteration, condition fails. So present minimum value swap to the fourth element. So after the completion of the step 3, the first 4 elements are sorted. Step 4. Now start with the fifth element, that is 54. The initially I equal to 0. The 54 is the first minimum value. Second iteration, I equal to 1. In this case, 35, A of 1 is representing for the 35. It's compared with the previous minimum value. The present value is the minimum, so change the minimum value. That present minimum value is the 35. Next iteration, so condition fails. So swap two numbers. So 35 is the fifth element. The 5 elements are sorted after the completion of the step 4. Now the minimum, the last value is the one value, that is the last iteration is automatically sorted. Now the finally sorted elements are 3, 13, 16, 22, 35 and 54. Finally, the sorted elements are stored in the array. Thank you.